Look how wet it is. Okay? And so you can compare any location. You can pick a state, a county, or draw your own polygon. Okay? Or, and what we did is we imported a boundary file of the national grassland. But you can easily move that slider back and forth. Okay, next. And just like in Cropscape, it will give you acreages or pixel counts of each color. The drier it is way down here. It's really green. That's like the maximum greenness. You can get an idea of the quantity of green out there, which in terms of ranching, quantity of green is usually amount of forage. Okay? Next slide. Now, you can import, you can export, and if you've got GIS people, gurus, they can overlay this with the NRCS data, or the irrigation districts, or the horse boundaries. I found out there's wild horse units and wild horse boundaries. And so, as I was talking about this, is anybody here from the Douglas or the Converse County Conservation District? Does anybody know Jewel Reed? There's a couple of you. I got some little prizes, so a couple of you will get some prizes here. I offered, if somebody answered a question, give one of these nice maps of their county to them, because they're kind of cool to have. And well, Jewel, she wanted a map of Converse County. But she said, well, what I'd really like is, we've got problems with prairie dogs on the Thunder Basin National Grassland, and we're trying to determine over time how much the predation area has either grown or decreased. So we know how to handle it, because the prairie dogs this last summer got the plague, and it's transferable to humans, and now a lot of people are interested in the prairie dog issues. So I talked to the Converse County Conservation District. What they wanted was the vegscape, the greenness factor, about May 1st and August 1st of every year going back to year 2000. And we printed it out for them. We got them numbers of percentages or proportions of the area that are each color. And on December 14th, I'm presenting this to the people at the Conservation District annual meeting. The Jewel and the Grazing Association are going to be there. There are probably other people there. But we can show over time that about May 1 and August 1, there's a percentage of grass that goes from usually good to bad. And this year it went from bad to good. There's a lot more brown in this May picture than there is in here. But they can do the math based on these pixel counts and get an idea of the forage that the colony has taken away from cattle and sheep. And so, slide please. And so as I've been talking about these two tools the last 2 years, just about every single person I talk to says, well, can it do this? Can these tools, can I do this with a management decision? Can you add because right now the pick list is choose a state or choose a county. Or you can zoom in to like the northern half of a county, or maybe draw a square around Casper. But well, I want to pick my BLM allotment. Can you put that on the pick list? Well, I want to see the Wind River Indian Reservation. Can you put that on the pick list? We did a study similar to this for the Wind River Indian Reservation. They wanted the land use, and they want to overlay that with the ownership status of the tribal versus private lands, and to see, do private people own the crops and the tribe own the land where the livestock is? Make decisions like that. There's a whole big project. Can I zoom in closer? Because we're a statistical organization, we do not allow, due to preserving the landowner's confidentiality, to zoom in as close as Google Earth does. Google Earth, you can see somebody's trash can or burn barrel out in the backyard. We don't let you get that close. But as a manager of a grazing allotment, and you're out doing your transect, you would like to see, can that transect, the species inside there, or the forage production inside that transect be translated to the rest of the allotment? So you know, or the BLM range-com knows how many cattle can be put out that year. Is that useful knowledge? Somebody's asked me, can we use that transect to estimate species or forage yield? This is a lot of green, which in Iowa and Mississippi, these maps are great because they don't have a lot of green. It's all cropland pretty much, or towns. Well, we need finer gradations. Is it short grasses? Is it tall grasses? Is it short sagebrush? Is it tall sagebrush? I mean, you guys would know more about the different types of green that we see. Can we use more plain language? There's actually 4 different index satellite data sets you can use, NCVI, NVI, and 2 or 3 others. I don't know what they all mean. I don't really care. I want to know what is it telling me so I can make a decision based on what I'm seeing. So we need to use more plain language. Bigger icons. Every single person I've showed this to, and they look on the computer, they're all reaching for the glasses because they're pretty tiny little things. Can we link to ground truth more frequently? Is anybody here report on cocoa raws or report on the weekly crop progress? Yeah. Thank you. For 103 years, we've been putting out a weekly crop progress. And one of the questions we ask is, what is the condition of the pasture and rangeland? Well, that's ground truth. That's people on the ground who are looking out and they're seeing what's going on. And can we match that up with the satellite data? Because that's when the real power comes in. We try to use these, the satellite data in various different presentations to estimate corn yields, wheat yields, rice yields, barley yields. It would be great if we could do a forage yield. But there's always issues. But if we connect it to a little bit of ground truth, even that weekly crop progress, the accuracy goes up to 98%, where using satellite data alone, it's only like 80 to 90% accurate. Okay, so if you can add a little bit of ground truth, you can really start to increase the accuracy and the confidence you have in making a decision based on looking at a map. And then can that archive, instead of only going back to year 2000, can it go back to 1989 when I started? I just asked the guy in charge of the whole program, and he said no. That's when the first satellite went up that had this small scale 3 square meters of pixels or 250 square meter pixels. And so before that it was 1,000 square meters, which is a pretty big area. And so but going forward, in 105 years from now, in the study that the grad students are doing back there, they can look back. Or 30 years from now, or 10 years from now, or Jay, you mentioned that it can be just a few short years, you can improve or really decline the quality of the rangeland. Well, we've got almost 20 years now, so that's a lot more than a lot of people can remember. And in the back, there's handouts. All of this stuff is free and online. John mentioned if we improve the soil by X%, what amount of forage can we get? There's a USDA weather hub. They've got a booth that's back in the back corner. And they're trying on a county basis to estimate forage. But they have to have some ground truth, and they're not getting enough reports in Wyoming. So North Dakota, South Dakota, they're experimenting on a pilot basis, a forage yield estimate for pastures and rangelands. Okay? the 50 years of knowledge that we have of trying to estimate yields, because there is no forage yield for rangeland right now, would something that is 80% accurate, or 80 to 90% accurate, be better than nothing? That's a question I'm asking you. If you had it, if you knew that you could put 30 more cow-calf pairs out in your allotment this year, because the satellite data combined with the ground truth was forecasting more forage for that year, is that a good thing for you to make a decision on? Is 80% or 90% confidence enough of a confidence level to do that?
Of course.
Pardon?
Of course.
Of course. Well, that is a pretty far off potential of this technology. Not so far off as you might think, though. So really seriously, for the last 10 years, we have been, in addition to the, most of the yield surveys we do, we call up farmers and ranchers and say, what do you think your alfalfa hay is going to yield? What do you think your corn is going to yield? What do you think your corn silage is going to yield? What do you think your winter wheat is going to yield? And we keep the same people in each month, so we get an idea of, are there the expectations getting better, getting worse? What's happening with it? But they're the people on the ground who know. They're the best ground truth there is. The people who are growing the crop, are growing that species of livestock. And our accuracy at a national level is 0.5%. Well, we're getting